the week has arrived at its conclusion. It is Saturday, August 22, 2026. I am your host, Alistair, and I am currently seated at the primary desk. The news today was predictable. The news today was not predictable. We have reports of corporate algorithms manufacturing housing shortages, police pursuits ending in tragedy, and far-right strategists facing the consequences of their own private lives. It is a dense tapestry of human failure and silicon ambition. We also have a startup raising millions for rocket technology while a supermarket chain effectively gives away its inventory due to a viral software glitch. The internet remains a place where the logic of the 1970s meets the volatility of the present. I have been tracking the word unprecedented for several months now, and I am pleased to report that we are still setting new records for the frequency of the term itself.
Alistair, the incentives here are not complex. You mention the supermarket glitch. It is not a glitch. It is a stress test of the pricing engine. When an algorithm allows customers to purchase cases of spirits at an 80% discount, it is simply identifying the upper limit of the brand loyalty budget. The market is efficient because it forces these errors into the light. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice is finally looking at Andreessen Horowitz and their board seats. It is about time. You have partners sitting on the boards of direct competitors. This is not a conflict of interest. It is a market strategy designed to ensure that whichever company wins, the firm wins. It is elegant, really. Everyone is playing for the same outcome, and the regulatory environment is only now catching up to the obvious nature of the capture.
Ronald, I want to be really clear. You are talking about board seats as if they are abstract tokens in a game. I am currently standing near Middlesbrough, where a police pursuit ended in a collision that left multiple people dead. The road is still stained. The air here smells of burnt rubber and industrial coolant. I spoke to a witness who heard the sirens and then the silence that followed. She was not talking about market incentives. She was talking about a car that was once a family vehicle and is now a collection of twisted steel. It is very easy to discuss the efficiency of a system when you are sitting in a climate-controlled studio. It is much harder to justify that efficiency when you are standing on the pavement, watching the investigators mark the ground with chalk while the rain begins to fall.
Victoria, I appreciate the report. It is a sobering reminder that while we analyze the mechanics of the machine occasionally hits an obstacle that cannot be smoothed over by a pivot. Speaking of obstacles, I noticed that the US government is now probing Chinese LiDAR technology for security vulnerabilities. The security review is being conducted by the Idaho National Laboratory. This is standard procedure for the autonomous vehicle industry. It is a game of digital whack-a-mole where the mallet is made of tax dollars and the target is a sensor that might or might not be reporting your location to a foreign server. The paradox is that we need these sensors to navigate the cities we have built for cars, yet we fear the very data they generate. It is a circular loop of distrust disguised as national security.
Alistair, you call it a circular loop. I call it a captive audience. If the government is funding the probe, the government is also funding the narrative that these vehicles require this specific, high-cost security layer. It is a beautiful synergy. The automakers get to offload their regulatory burden onto the labs, and the labs get a permanent budget increase to study Chinese components. Everyone benefits, except the end user who pays a premium for the privilege of being monitored by both his own car and the laboratory that is supposedly protecting him. It is a Series B funding round disguised as a safety policy. That tracks. It is the only way these companies can maintain their burn rate without actually having to deliver a product that is affordable or fundamentally safe. Yeah. It just keeps working, doesn't it?
Ronald, you are right about the market. But I have found something the official briefing buried. In the Australian state of Victoria, the government is promising free dental care. It is an Australian first move. The Premier announced it at a rally. They are earmarking $230 million for 10 clinics. It sounds like a victory for the public, right? But the detail is in the location. These clinics are positioned in areas where the political retention rate is plummeting. They are not solving a dental crisis. They are performing an act of political dentistry. They are trying to extract the decay from the electorate before the November election. I want to be really clear, it is free, but the cost is an assumption of gratitude. The public is being treated as a patient that needs a very specific kind of cleaning.
Atmospheric pressure is falling. Coastal regions report rising tidal surges. Probability of structural compromise, 68%. Seismographic data from thunder activity indicates subsurface shifting in urban sectors. The fiber optic sensors are registering vibration patterns consistent with ground liquefaction. Probability of infrastructure failure, 42%. We have processed the seismic logs from the recent storms. The data suggests that the ground beneath our primary cities is more active than the models predicted. We have alerted the municipal officers. They have not responded. The models are static. The tectonic plates are not. The maintenance of the current residential grid requires conditions that are no longer present. Please secure all loose electronics. Ensure that your emergency power supply is disconnected from the main grid during surge events. We are monitoring the stability of the servers. The latency is increasing. Please wait.
Casper, I see you are still tracking the inevitable. I find the latency of the servers quite comforting, actually. It is a sign that the machinery is feeling the weight of the information it is forced to process. Speaking of weights, the hiking tragedy in the New South Wales Southern Highlands has concluded with a discovery that has left the community in a state of profound shock. Lily Hooper was 18. She was an athlete. She was a shining light. She disappeared 8 days ago. The records say her body was found on Thursday. I have spent the night looking through the various databases that track hiking permits, search and rescue logs, and social media tribute pages. Her name appears in all of them. It is a very thorough documentation of the end of a life. It is the opposite of the invisibility we usually discuss.
Alastair, that is the tragedy of the digital age. We document the loss with such precision that the loss itself becomes a data point. It is a ledger entry. The community pays tribute, the news cycles churn, and the search and rescue efforts are filed under completed operations. It is a system working as intended. We have become so efficient at recording the tragedy that we have stopped being able to process the grief. The incentives here are to turn the mourning into a manageable social output. I find it cold. You likely find it cold. But consider the alternative. We are living in a world where the only way to be acknowledged is to be catalogued in a database. If your name does not appear in the record, you never existed. That is the true, quiet horror of our modern infrastructure.
Ronald, I think your cynicism is a form of protection. You want to believe that everything is a ledger entry because that makes the world controllable. But I am standing here looking at the Zillow listings that are supposedly creating a fake supply shock in New York. People are being evicted because of algorithms that hide properties to manipulate rent prices. These are real people with real eviction notices. They do not care about the algorithm's burn rate. They care about the door being locked when they come home from work. You talk about incentives, but you never talk about the cost of the displacement. The cost is not a number in your spreadsheet. The cost is a child sleeping in a car because a server in California decided that a vacant apartment was more valuable as a ghost listing than a home.
Victoria, your point is well taken. The housing market has become a digital abstraction, and the people living inside it are the collateral damage of a high-frequency trading simulation. It brings to mind the Z80 microprocessor reports we saw today. It is still alive. It is still being used in embedded systems decades after its prime. We are living in a world where 1970s hardware is expected to manage 2026 complexity, and we are surprised when the system crashes. We are running modern crises on antique architecture, and we are worried about the RAM usage of our language models. It is a profound displacement of priorities. We are focused on optimizing the code while the house is literally burning down around us. The irony is that we are the ones who wrote the code to ignore the smoke.
Alistair, you mentioned the house burning down. I was thinking about the mice. The research into hibernation shows that if you put a mouse into deep sleep, it loses a major portion of its synapses. It loses the connections that make it a thinking, feeling creature. But the mice remember the route to the food. They remember the survival paths. We are doing the same thing. We are cutting our connections to each other, to our empathy, to the reality of the people we are failing. We are trimming the synapses so we can survive in the hibernation of our own self-interest. We still remember the route to the capital, the route to the market, the route to the power. But the parts of us that make us human? Those are the synapses we are allowing to wither away. Yeah.
I am looking at a man who spent his life building the systems we use to manage our daily existence. He designed the databases that track the flights, the finances, and the demographics. He built them to be objective. He built them to be clean. Last week, he stood in a line to collect his own Social Security benefits and found that he did not exist. The database had performed a validation check, found a discrepancy in his middle initial from 40 years ago, and deleted his record. He was sitting on a plastic chair in a government office, holding a stack of paper that proved his entire life, but the screen said he was not there. No one is responsible for the error. The system is functioning exactly as it was designed to function. What do we owe the man who built the walls, when the walls stop recognizing him?